One of the unfortunate realities about being a porn addict is that sometimes my penis has literally taken a beating. Really. Let's talk about it. Stay tuned. This is Road to Recovery, and I'm going to be doing another Stories of a Porn Addict series. And in this series, I talk about my own personal battles with my addiction and some of the consequences that were the result. I feel that by talking about these things, it allows me to open up and share about the consequences of my addiction. In this sharing, I'm hoping to encourage you to be able to share your own stories about your addiction and get comfortable with the fact that, hey, you know what? There's a bigger picture. Addiction really is damaging, and it can do a lot of psychological as well as physical damage. Speaking of physical, let's talk about genital damage. Ouch. So this was a problem that I suffered during my addiction, and it actually started when I was a teenager. It's kind of embarrassing to really talk about these stories because no one wants to admit the fact that they've actually hurt themselves while they were masturbating, but I did it. Yeah, I did it a lot, actually. And I think it stemmed from the fact that when I was turning into a young man, I didn't masturbate using lotion at all. I actually did it through friction. So I was usually either using sheets or socks or whatever I could find that would actually apply friction to my penis. But I didn't come across the concept of lubrication until well into adulthood. And even then, I was still comfortable with using like a friction surface in order to produce the sensations that I wanted. As I grew more and more into my addiction, what had happened is that I essentially started getting friction burns on my penis. But because I was an addict, in other words, I had a hard time stopping, I would keep repeating that routine over and over. And what would happen is that, if you just imagine my finger is the shaft of the penis, and the top here where the nail is the gland. The area where the skin attaches to the gland, I would frequently tear that. Either that or I would have literal skin burns all the way across the shaft itself. And when that happened, it hurt so bad. I mean, it got to a point where I was literally bloody one time that I couldn't masturbate. And oh man, was I a pain in the ass those few days, because I was like, oh God, I want to masturbate, but I couldn't masturbate. And you would think that problem, right? The ability for me to not touch my penis for a few days would be kind of a warning sign, but I didn't think of it as a warning sign. I was just like, oh man, how long is it going to take for me to heal so I can get back to masturbating? And of course, this was an extension of my porn addiction, because I wasn't just masturbating for the sake of masturbating. I had to use porn in order to masturbate. The idea of not using pornography while I masturbated is kind of like, waking up for breakfast when you would eat Cinnabons, every single day for years on end, and then all of a sudden you're given a rice cake. I'm like, no, I don't want rice cake. I want the Cinnabon, right? And I don't want to just masturbate and have to use my imagination. Oh God, no. I want porn. And so I was constantly using porn while I was doing this. And so it would be in cycles, because sometimes I could get to it. I could actually, masturbate and get to it. And then as I got older, I was discovering the uses of hand lotion and stuff like that to make things a little bit easier. So I was less likely to be able to hurt myself while I was using lotion. But I will say that there was a trade-off there, because when you start off with such a heavy friction surface and you switch to lotion, what happens is that you become accustomed to that, to having the heavy friction on your skin. And I felt that it gave me more sensation. So there was a complication of problems going on. Not only did I have the complications of pornography and constantly stimulating myself, in other words, I by association, I really wanted to have the combination of the textures and the visual experience going hand in hand. But, there was the constant cycles that I was going through. There'd be some weeks where I would be really heavy, and then other weeks where I would be backing off a bit. And it's usually because outside forces in my life, the life experiences were getting in the way. So I couldn't masturbate as much as I wanted to. But the reality is that from an addict standpoint, if I had the chance, I would have been masturbating to porn every single day and being as rough as I possibly could. I've never been hospitalized for any of the injuries I sustained to myself, thank God, because that would be extremely embarrassing to have to, go to a doctor and say, I hurt my penis. But no, I never had to be hospitalized, but there were times where the injuries were so severe that I actually had to take a week off, which was like murder for me, dude. I had to wait for it to scab up and stuff like that. And that was literally a pain. I had the physical pain of the actual wound that I created for myself. And let me tell you something, man. You don't know pain until you've actually had to wash your junk when there's cuts on it. Oh, God. In soapy water, forget about it, man. Even just regular water hurt like a mother. Then there's the the having to wait, and I think that might actually have been worse. Like, despite all the physical pain I was feeling, there would be times where I couldn't hold out anymore. It's like, God, I really got to masturbate, and then I would go touch my penis, and it would just be screaming in agony, and I'm like, oh God. And you know something, I would still try. That's the stupid thing about that. It's like, you're an addict when you're literally in physical pain, through your genitals, and you're still willing to go at it because you feel a calling. You want to have that orgasm. That's a clear calling of a problem. Yet for decades, I was completely oblivious or not wanting to process the fact that I was experiencing a serious mental health issue because of this. I was willing to undergo genital harm just to complete the habit cycle. It's a terrible thing, and I'm hoping that by you hearing this, if this is something you've gone through yourself, that you can process that and also be realistic about it. It took me hitting my own brick wall and having to hit rock bottom for me to come clean and be able to admit that all of this, everything that I was doing was wrong. I mean, I was literally hurting myself. What the hell was I doing? I'm hoping if you're hearing this and you've gone through something similar, you can come to the realization that there is a problem here. There is something I need to address. And hopefully before you even hit a wall, that you can, look at the actual actions that you're performing and recognize that these are not healthy actions, and perhaps you should consider stopping. Anyway, that's all I got to share today. This is Road to Recovery. I make no money on this channel whatsoever. This is all part of my 12th step, giving back to the addict who still suffers. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. You can reach out to me through Road to Recovery 11 on Twitter. DM me. I always listen out for the DMs. And you can also email me at roadtorecovery11@yahoo.com. And I try to pick up all my emails and listen to those there as well. Thank you for listening. I wish you a good day, and stay on that road to recovery.